Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Khalil Doheny. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager at Digital Niche Agency, and we are finally having our webinar today with the Fan Rebellion team. Team, how are you guys doing today?
Doing all right, man. How are you? Good.
Fantastic.
Awesome. How are you today, Philip? How are you today, Khalil?
Doing fantastic. You know, in LA right now, it's the weather is. I just want it to be cold already. I'm just so tired of the heat. You know, it's
All right. So listen, before we get the webinar started, we're just gonna stop you because you just said, "Oh, I'm in LA and I can't wait till it gets cold. Like it's gonna be 50 degrees and I can wear my sweater."
you know, it's all right.
I live in New York, bro. Shut up. Let's go to the webinar. Let's just shut up and go right to the webinar. That was the corniest thing ever. Oh, I can't wait.
It is a freezing 80-something degrees here
Oh my
in
God.
Vegas. So.
Oh, it's so cold. So I can't wait till it gets cold and I can wear my like long shorts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the cold. I enjoy the cold. I was in New York.
What's cold to you, Phil? I mean, what's cold to you, Khalid? What's cold?
You know, below 50. It's cold.
Yeah, let's move to the next subject. Go to your Let's go right to the next.
Add a negative to that 50 and you get cold.
All right.
Felix, you know what we're talking about. He said cold. You want to mute him right now, but you can't. You don't have the power to.
But I'll leave. You guys can handle it.
All right. Go ahead, Khalil. Go ahead, get to the next thing. Next subject.
The next thing is, I was gonna ask where you guys tuning in from. Tell me where you guys are tuning in from.
Oh, I'm in cold New York.
Awesome.
In cold New York. We're getting ready to have a massive rainstorm tomorrow. It's gonna go down to like 30. You know what I mean? And they're telling everyone to stay in the house. I live right on the water, so they're saying to tighten your boats and grab your outdoor furniture and all that other kind of crap. You know what I mean? So that's cold. All right. So we're preparing for a storm for tomorrow, Khalil. That's what we're preparing for. Felix, you want to jump in, and then we'll go to the other guys to talk about 50 degrees. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm right outside of Philadelphia, so yeah, it's been I've been in the East Coast all my life, so I understand. So
absolutely,
but been in the West Coast a few times, so I get it. And I was stationed at Kadena, so Okinawa, Japan. It's kind of like always in the 80s, but when it drops to like 70, it feels like it's freezing, and people are walking around with bombers and jackets. So I understand where you're coming from.
The second it reaches like 70 degrees, I'm ready to bring out my jacket.
All right.
So
you're a bunch of old men talking about the weather again.
Felix, thank you for your service.
In the freezing cold 70 degrees.
Yeah,
Khalil, how are we doing on? We're in Vegas. All we're worried about is Lake Mead dropping, and they're discovering more and more stuff down there every day. Today they discovered 12 million year old volcanic rocks, and but I figure unless those volcanic rocks were used to put down prehistoric gangsters, they're not really Vegas rocks anyway. So, hey, Khalil, how are we doing on people getting on board on the webinar?
We have people
ready to go.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we have a good number. We can kick things off.
All right.
I do want to pass the mic to you guys. I know there's a lot of projects that, there you go with the jacket. Love it. Gonna pass the mic to you guys and take it from here. I'll be here moderating, making sure if there's any questions being asked, I'll be going through them and making sure, we get to those. So
awesome.
Team, it's all yours.
Right on. Well, welcome to, this is webinar number 3 here for us at Fan Rebellion. We will not pretend that we have gotten good at this yet, but it is always exciting for us to have an opportunity to express things directly to people and to hopefully take some questions. We are going to make an effort this time to be informative, but also be entertaining. What we realize is we're talking about the way things work behind the scenes, but we're not necessarily showing you what we're doing and what we've done. So what I really want to do here is start off. We have a video we put together. It's narrated. I have to preface this with saying I was very sick the day that I narrated this video. So there's that. But it's got me and Jason in it, and we are talking about the Vegas experience and showing lots of clips. And every clip you see in this video is something that we have managed, produced, and or booked. So I think it'll be very helpful for you understanding a bit more about what we do and what we've done. So Ian, if you could just play that
Our
first video.
investors will have special access and deals that are curated and provided just for them. Investing in Fan Rebellion is not just about ROI. It's about being part of an exciting and intriguing industry. If you don't work with us, you'll miss an opportunity to build something different that impacts lives directly and immediately. Entertainment, while not food or water, is essential to our survival. It's essential to dealing with the stresses and the hectic days of all of our lives. Fan Rebellion specializes in the development and production of ticketed events, attractions, and venue operations centered in Las Vegas. And our business model gives investors a chance to share in the success of entertainment events and attractions by giving you the opportunity to invest in the production company itself, as opposed to in each individual project. The opportunity to invest in live entertainment is far more elusive than most other industries. We can create destination-worthy events, destination-worthy entertainment, destination-worthy venues for these people that aren't being catered to. It is David versus Goliath out here. Like in many other industries, the large players become stagnant or burdened by their size, and they miss the smaller, more niche opportunities as their main focus shifts to large and bigger opportunities. We are positioned, due to our experience and our contacts, to capitalize on their blind spots, and in many ways also on the creative drought of these larger players. These smaller opportunities still offer good upside return on the capital and have a runway to grow.
I think as a general sense, investors are looking to be able to know that the people that are taking care of their capital are going to be good stewards. But being a good steward can mean a lot of things. It can mean accomplishing the goals that you set out to do. It can also mean providing an exit strategy for that investor. One of the things that we've tried to do in Fan Rebellion is to build in long-term viability of the company. We've also tried to build in dividends into each project so that there's a cash flow that's taking place with that investment. And we're also trying to invest in projects and productions and venues that we think will have cultural value, whether that's cultural value for a family going out and enjoying themselves on vacation, or for a music industry and an artist trying to spread a message or to increase just honestly the fun and enjoyment that people have when they go out. I mean, let's be honest, in today's stressful day, isn't it nice to be able to go somewhere and just have a little fun?
You may have wanted to invest in entertainment, but you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket, just a single IP, a single idea. If that one idea fails, you could lose your entire investment. But the producers get to continue on and find new investors for the next idea. If you want to stay involved, you'd have to reinvest. One of the things we want to do is honestly do things differently. It's very easy to get caught in the gear work and keep running an industry the way you know it to be run, rather than actually to lay new ground. One of our approaches is to involve fans in the decision-making process, in the funding process of our business.
So I hope that was helpful. That was a trip down memory lane, some of it. But maybe give you a better idea of sort of the breadth of stuff that we've done, and also in some of the things that you might gain some insight on and some access to. And while we're talking about projects that we've done, we just did now it's been over 3 weeks, but we did our first week of our show Boombox, a Vegas residency on Shuffle. And it was it had all of the things you expect in a first week of a show. It was chaotic. It was fun. It was exhausting, and it was very, very well received. So we had, in case you haven't been keeping up, we had CeeLo Green, we had Thea Austin from Snap, we had Kid and Play, we had Tone Loc, and we had JJ Fad. Funny enough, JJ Fad does a song Supersonic, and funny enough, it seemed like we got more comments about Supersonic and JJ Fad than about anything. But they were awesome, and it was really cool. It was a good experience, and the response to having that sort of music on stage here was very good, in the sense that it's not it's a niche that isn't usually put on a showroom stage in Vegas, a main showroom stage. So we have that out of the way. We are planning our next week of shows, likely in Q1, it looks like, of next year. And we just want to build up this brand. Currently, we're working on developing the web presence, getting the Google response on our events, like all the the really unsexy stuff in entertainment that you have to do that no one ever thinks about or talks about because all you see is the fun stuff on stage. So why don't we show, while we're in the video showing mood, you want to show the promo from that show, or the red carpet one, or which one you want to let's show the promo video from the show.
Say we ready. Say we ready. We ready.
It was so cool.
What was your favorite part?
Probably supersonic. Yeah, supersonic.
We loved it, especially me, because it was my era. So Plastic Bag, JJ Fad, that was one of my songs I used to dance to. CeeLo Green was off the hook. Kid and Play, can't forget about them, but everybody else, that's my era, Awesome and phenomenal.
I like Tomo.
I was hanging by a string, said, hey, you too. I was one for you, and I like that you were one thing. Yo, what's the name? I'm painting in my dress, we should have been. Fuck you. Let's go. These are our brothers that might be here at the end of the month. They're not
You guys enjoy the show?
This is awesome. Yes, we loved it.
What was your favorite part?
Everybody, JJ Fad, myself, JJ Fad, and West Coast Time, baby. RWM, Big Mercy, Dog.
Hey everyone. I think that
Jason, before you start, just the amount of school teachers and the amount of supervisors at DMV that are gonna get in trouble for being on that video is just, the nurses that are gonna get
for dancing with Tone Loc.
Bro, no, that was my grandmother dancing with Tone Loc, and we already dealt with her, by the way. All right, but God rest my grandmother's soul. I swear to God, I might get stabbed for that one. But go ahead, Jason. I'm gonna leave it to you.
So I think it's great that you led with the humor on that though, because we've been doing TikTok videos and Instagram and all this stuff, which is not my normal life, and I've been getting responses from people so much so that we go around and work at a lot of different hotels in Vegas. And I was at a property, which I can't name, but it was a Vegas Strip property. I was dining in their hotel dining space, and the cook behind the place goes, "Oh my God, you're that guy from TikTok who has that show." And I was just trying to get a hamburger, and I had no idea that anyone had actually seen I figured maybe 4 people had seen the TikTok.
I don't think you're TikTok famous, but you are definitely hamburger famous.
Yeah, it was interesting. But so we get sent a lot of stuff. We have a social media team that handles some of the stuff, and one of the things that got handled was a lady sent us Instagram, no, I'm sorry, it was a Facebook comment that said, "Hey, I don't know if you guys can link to this or not, but I went and saw your show." She had been here for an event at the Westgate that had happened before our show, I think Blues Bender or something like that. Yeah. It was a really nice event they have over there as well. But she stayed over for a night or two, and she is a blues musician herself. She might have been performing at the event prior to that, but she did a TikTok video with her up on stage, and it got like 90,000 or 100,000 views within a day. And she's like, it's the most successful promo video I've ever done. And it's just me dancing Tone Loc. So it goes to show you never really do know what's going to happen at a live event. I mean, a lot of excitement and a lot of energy can happen. It's probably one of the best parts about live events. I mean, we talk a lot about the grind and the energy and the effort that goes into them, and they're there. But the difference between a TV show and everything's filmed and structured and scripted and a live event is that you just really never know what is going to happen. And I think that spontaneity and that experience is probably one of the reasons why I keep coming back to the industry. I have a little bit of ADD. So the fact that, an event can just happen and it can just instantly and unexpectedly spark is exciting stuff. We've got another video, I think, that is the red carpet from that show. If Ian wants to go ahead and run that. And we hope we're not boring you with this. We just want to give you an actual understanding of what we do and what takes place. Because
this is stuff that's been happening while we've been doing this crowdfunding raise and while we're actively getting people on board. And these are things like this show, and this is just one genre of show, but these are things that people who are already on board are already a part of.
Right.
Not that in a 1 week of running a show, they're anyone's making money off this, but this is where we're headed. So
but we get to be influencers, because now Jason is an influencer.
yeah. I got extra cheese for free. Cool. It was totally worth it.
we're really cool now. All right.
Yes, this is it. We're so cool.
Can't you tell? Look at the three of us. We're so cool.
Yeah.
Run that red carpet video.
So let's start actually.
Thank you. Eyes right here, everybody. 1, 2. Yeah, eyes up, please. One more. Thank you.
Yeah, Spider-Man is freezing full effect. I'm ready.
A simple song I wrote to you would take your breath away. I'd write it all. If they say why, that is ruining me.
Come on, baby. I was hanging by a string. Said, hey, you two, I was one for you. Thank you so much. Hey, yo, Seth. Hey, yo, Jimmy. We love y'all.
Well, there you go. You cannot get too much of Grandma dancing with Tone Loc. We almost had to hire her to come back.
Grandma runs customer service for the IRS. She's there Monday through Friday from 9 to 7. All right?
She ran, not runs.
She ran.
So
No, you just call her and say Tone Loc, and she's gonna take 10% off of what you owe.
So,
I was
well-
kidding. I don't even know if that's allowed, Seth. I'm sorry if I just made you nervous.
Jimmy, SEC violations and human trafficking violations. I don't know what he's doing.
HR,
Um,
human resources. Go ahead, Seth. I'm sorry.
So one more thing on the subject of Boombox, I just wanted to bring up. We were we were working on lineups, or we are working on lineups for future runs of Boombox, and someone who was almost a part of our opening lineup for Boombox was Coolio. And Coolio was a Vegas resident. And so he loves Vegas. Everyone around here knows him as this friendly guy that shows up places. And for multiple reasons, not the least of which was his giant song that had just passed 1 billion views on YouTube a few months ago. We wanted to have him come in and out of our show. So we had toured him through toured his wife Mimi, because he was in Europe at the time, through the venue and we were in conversations to do this, to have him on. And then unfortunately he, as everyone knows, passed away. And there was an article on TMZ that came out, and just in terms of everyone knowing, like we actually were not going to have Coolio in October, but we absolutely had plans to have him in, and we are planning to do some future versions of Boombox, do some tributes to him, because he's really a part of that family of hip hop artists and a part of the Vegas community. So in a way, he's the perfect face to be a part of a show like that.
Hey Seth, before you go on, I just wanted to tag on to that piece too, because there may be paragraphs and articles out there saying using the word headliner and Coolio and Boombox. So while we're on the subject of Coolio, who is a very, very personal friend of mine, and our team for years, we've toured the entire globe over the last 8 or 9 years. And when you're talking about these titans in the game, when you're talking about artists like Coolio, and when you're talking about artists like Eric B and Rob Bass and Kid and Play, and just the list goes on and on and on, right? We oftentimes can take the bigness of those artists, and if you grew up in hip hop, you know that Coolio is a huge part of hip hop, right? And it's just really easy for people to just say, well, you know what, I would imagine a personality as big as him would be able to headline something in Vegas. And for us, and if you've been out to see a Boombox show, or if you've been out to see Vegas Loves the 90s, the actual headliner is hip hop, right? And between Seth, Jason, and myself, we make sure that we send out, communication to the fans and the probable fans of hip hop that, the headliner is hip hop. You know what I mean? But, when we're using our names like Coolio, and when we go back to Bismarcky and things like that, you know what? Their names will remain in infamy headlining hip hop. Jam Master Jay.
You're saying because they were saying in the article that he was going to headline the show.
That he was the headliner
Right.
of the show.
And he may not have been, in fact, like the highest, what do you call it? The top billing act on the marquee.
Exactly.
But, I wouldn't have told him he wasn't headlining.
I mean, I think that
because he's too big. But
Right.
you know what? But I think, Seth, that the thing is that if we're talking about headlining, I do think that we would have been able to say, not just a CeeLo, because I don't want to make this a CeeLo moment, a Coolio moment. I want to make it a hip hop moment, right? And the magic, if we can just pivot a little bit of the conversation, the magic in what I think that we're doing is that we are actually headlining hip hop. Again, you go to, let's say right now, great friend of ours, Mary J. Blige. You go to a Mary J. Blige show right now, you're going to see 1 act and 2 acts and then 3 acts. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's Mary J. Blige. And that is freaking amazing. If you haven't seen the show, it's absolutely incredible. Mary's an icon in the game. And that's what people are used to seeing when they come to shows. When you come to a Boombox show, we do it a little different. We don't do it better. We don't do it worse. We just do it a little bit different. You know what I mean?
But we're also trying to create, if business sense, intellectual property, create something that Fan Rebellion owns and controls, but it also is a home base to this genre of music, which is a great genre that isn't often represented here in Vegas, to be honest.
Oh, for sure.
So
for sure. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt.
So I wanted to say, so we hear, we've been having, sorry, I want to change gears. I want to keep things moving. And we've been getting a lot of contact from our fan owners, from our investors. And it's been really great the way it is reinforcing kind of this journey we're on and what we're trying to do by pulling a community together. And even we've had a couple of the original investors that put more money in, actually, as they've sort of been watching what we're doing. And literally today, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, Ramona, who I have not met yet, who seems lovely, reached out and said, "Hey, I want to get more involved and I want to, put more in." And that's awesome. Thank you, Ramona. I was the one on. I think I said I was the one messaging you on Facebook, but it was me. But someone who reached out a while back, and Jason's mentioned before, is Felix Augusto, and Felix actually wanted to get more involved, more hands-on what we're doing, and we wanted to introduce him because what he's doing is helping us to grow our community, and so you may get the opportunity to interact directly with him. Felix can tell you a bit more about himself, but he is incredibly sharp and has an interesting, almost guerrilla approach to marketing. And we're very excited to have his perspective because he really has seen this from the other side. He saw something that he liked and wanted to get involved. And now to have him say, well, how do I get others to feel the same way I'm feeling? I don't know if anyone else knows the speech from Scrooged with Bill Murray, but that's the one that's going on my head.
He's
you can feel it too.
He's also made us look at things differently than what you look at. I mean, you unfortunately, in every insulated environment, you start to operate inside a bubble, and you start to group think mentality, and you agree with everything that your friend,
which is the antithesis of what we're doing with this company, really.
So having someone come from the outside that had different experiences and a different perspective on it, and then ask us tough questions and force us to reevaluate what we're doing. I've been on a few emails back and forth, and internally we've had emails about comments that Felix had made, and it's made us realize that there are mistakes that we're making, and that there are things that we are not doing that we need to do. So I'd like to
let's let him talk, because I know he also can't stay that long, and we've just used up like all his time talking about him. So
no, it's all right. Well, I appreciate you guys welcoming me into the Fan Rebellion family. I'll make my part of it brief. I was I grew up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, been in the East Coast most of my life, so I can relate to a lot of the artists that are part of Boombox and that kind of scene. Spent 16 years in the military. When I retired, I decided to start my own business. So I started marketing, branding, went into sports. So when I was running my sports program, it was all about, I went into it to develop an experience for the families, because I didn't want it to be like all the other sports programs that were out there. So the youth sports programs really focused on what the parents were experiencing, and what the kids were getting out of it, not necessarily wins, losses. And so when I decided to kind of put that to rest, I decided to start looking to see what else I could get myself involved in. And so Start Engine was one of the places that I kind of frequently went into and scrolled, and I saw Fan Rebellion, and I was really intrigued by it. Then I started reading about possibly investing in the company and being a part of it. And so that was something that kind of kept me coming back. And I think I told Jimmy this story. I actually went to the Fan Rebellion page like 5 or 6 times, just trying to find a reason not to do it. And so, but I just couldn't stop going back to it.
It's the story of my life, man.
So I kept going back to it, and I was really intrigued by the idea of being a part of something that was a lot bigger than anything I've ever done. I also did research on the 3 gentlemen that are, co-founders, and I felt like their resumes were really impressive, and I felt like, my money would be safe because they know what they're doing, and they're trying something new and different, and they're inviting me to be a part of it. So I felt like it was something that I could take a chance on, and I did. And then I reached out to Jason, I think it was on LinkedIn, and I just simply said, hey, I want to get more involved. And so we had a few conversations, and here I am. So it's really, for me, it was more about being able to be a part of something new and different. I also enjoy being a part of startup companies and trying to build something from the ground up. I think it's something that really intrigues me. But I can honestly say that would this ever have happened in any other situation? No, like there's no other company that's putting on shows or concerts, working with artists that are going to invite me to give them feedback on what they can do or what they should do differently. Most people just have their teams and they pay their staff, and then the fans either enjoy it or hate it, but they're just looking, they're just looking to get your money. But they're not looking for your opinion. They're not looking for the way you feel about something. They're not looking for you to contribute in any meaningful way other than what's in your, what check you're writing or what money you're spending. So to me, that's why I feel like this was very. It's definitely so far. It's a investment that I'm proud of, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thanks, man. I mean, we really appreciate you coming on board, and your honesty, like your feedback is fantastic, and just the way that we met, you know, as a stranger who believed in what we were doing. Like when you poke holes in something we're doing, or you have an idea, I value that in a way more than I value our own internal feelings and expertise on it, because you really have lived the experience that we're trying to access and trying to offer to people. So thank you, and thank you for energizing us. And
Felix is actively working with us now. He is going to be, I think we determined 4,000 different ways. So basically he's
community
development. And as we make some changes to our website and push him out there more, we're hoping that Felix is going to be the tip of the spear in terms of some of this. We're always accessible to talk to people, and I constantly am taking Zoom calls. I think Seth is on 5 or 6 a day minimum. We're constantly on social media responding and talking, although I try not to respond too often on social media. I can't spell, so I get yelled at. I get yelled at for that.
If anyone gets a message from Jason and it seems offensive, just send it to me and I'll reinterpret it for you.
I have a severe case of dyslexia. So if you ever get a message from me, it makes no sense. It does make sense. Put it up in the mirror and then change some letters. But I would like to say thanks to Felix a lot. He has been exemplary in terms of holding me accountable for certain values that I'm trying to uphold within this company.
But essentially, you know, I think that's a primal part of what and who Fan Rebellion is, right? We're giving ourselves, and Felix is testament to this, or testimony to this, because again, like Jason, I don't want to get hammered in by Seth for using the wrong verbiage, but
not here to grammar correct or anything.
Exactly.
After the webinar, we'll review. We'll all sit together. And
for the 7 people that are watching, Seth does give off very English teacher in high school. We all understand that, right? So anyway, though, but it is testimony, right, to the fact that what we actually say is what we actually do, right? You know, growing up in New York, I've gone to tons and tons of Broadway shows, right? But I never felt like I could say to the people at Lion King, hey, the lights were a little too yellow. Or, you know, I've gone to see, you know, tons and tons of Rent, you know, what's the joint with the rappers dudes that's doing the
Hamilton?
Yeah, Hamilton, that guy on there, right? Like, you know, but I never I listen, no offense to those guys, right? Because those guys are all great, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying that I've gone in as a consumer, much in the same way that I've gone into Starbucks, right? But like what Starbucks does and what Fan Rebellion does, and Seth and you know just talked about it with Felix, and Felix just actually said it without saying it. But you know, Felix was able to go into Fan Rebellion and say, hey, I'd like a little bit more squirts of, you know, sugar in my cafe latte or whatever, you know.
Like, I think your coffee grounds are a little too burnt. I think you should adjust this, and we'll consider that. Actually consider it. Yeah.
And then, but the difference is, right, is that Starbucks Fan Rebellion is actually saying, you know what, there's a possibility that we've been baking or roasting our coffee grinds a little bit too long. And I think that's a unique thing. At least I can speak for myself, right? That's a unique thing for me. And Seth, Jason, and I have built shows in Vegas before. And I don't ever remember an opportunity where we actually heard the fan. We don't just advertise it. We actually heard the fan. You know what I mean? And are really trying our best to take what they're saying into consideration. Now, if we get 1 million people that come on the Fan Rebellion ride, we're not going to make 1 million changes. We're just going to call out what it is, right? So we don't want to paint this picture that, you know what?
Well, that's a whole other discussion about how we're going to handle that, which maybe we save for another webinar. But
exactly. Sorry, Seth. Go ahead.
That's fine. No, it's all right. No, I just want to be sensitive to Felix's schedule over there.
I know Felix has got to head up, but I do want to say on what Jim, we can transition on this, but the truth is that as we get more people involved, as we do different types of projects, I've been actively working on LinkedIn now, reaching out to students. I can say that I think that any big issue, right? So I've been reaching out to students in film projects, live entertainment projects, actors, technical programs, writing programs, anyone who's in the creative or technical end that would be involved in theater, dance programs, dance communities, with the idea of cultivating a next generation of both technical talent, creative talent, and investors and fans that I was a theater rat growing up. So the idea that people who are involved in this industry, whether it's in black box theaters in Boise, Idaho, or in giant performing arts centers in New York City, that they're still part of a community, and we're trying to open our doors to that community and say there is a home for you, not right this instant. Like, we don't have 17 programs running, but the idea is to have a plethora of offerings that meet a variety of artistic,
a lot of ways to get involved beyond just putting money in.
From sound mixing to lighting design to actors to performers to music. That we have a varied background with this company. It's not just music, it's not just performing arts, it's not just stage shows in Vegas. Some of us have been performers on the stage, some of us have been most of us have been managers for artists of different types, corporate backgrounds,
running venues, nightclubs, bars.
Yeah. So the idea is to make it an encompassing program where we can have a community that starts off as perhaps just community members, just social media fans, just supporting us, and then moving from there from being $100, $200 investors to being people that are coming as interns, to people who come in as paid employees, to build a company from the ground up.
Well, let's let Felix off the hook. I keep saying that, but thank you, sir.
Thanks, Felix.
I really appreciate it. Appreciate everything you're doing, and we'll talk about you when you're gone here. So you can be sure of it. And when you're talking about reaching out to students and people who are coming up, people who are younger, I think it's also partly because everyone's very stuck in their way in every industry, right? And there's a lot of change happening right now. And some of the stuff we say, like when I talk to a casino executive, some are like, "Oh my God, this is genius," and some are like, "You guys are crazy. This is the way it's done."
Right.
And I understand where that comes from, but if you want people who can embrace change and see what's happening and see what can happen, that's another reason to get some younger minds involved. And when we are crowdsourcing feedback and have this feedback loop, I'm starting to call it our ecosystem. So Jason, in his dyslexia, doesn't say ecosystem, but ecosystem, like echo, ECHO, is pretty cool. Ecosystem, right? So that may become something here. But and when speaking of which, I want to introduce one other face here. So we have with us Linda, and Linda has been working with us for
6 months, 7 months,
8 months, a year. Is it 10 years now already, Linda? Did you
Wow.
come on when you were 6 years old?
It seems like about
No.
10 years.
No. I think it's about 8-7 months now since I've been with you guys.
So and Linda comes from Africa, from South Africa, and she had some varied experience, but we really didn't hire her for experience. We hired her because I always say, because she's a swimmer. You toss her in and she's going to swim. She's going to figure it out. She's very resourceful, and we threw her in the boombox waters, and then we threw her just a few weeks later in the Gwen Stefani waters. And there are all sorts of things not even worth explaining all around that. And so just thought that we would introduce you guys to her, because like Felix, I think many of you will communicate with Linda. She really organizes a lot of what we do, speaks on behalf of us, sometimes just because she's more on top of responding to people than we are. But I'm curious if, in the nicest way possible, you could give us some insight into how the chaos of Boombox was.
Be nice.
And yeah, let's not name names and artist problems or anything like that. But
And I'm sorry, by the way, I just wanted to put that out there. My bad, Linda. I'm sorry. Still 4 times. I'm sorry. Okay, so go ahead, Seth. I'm sorry.
But how was that? How was it dealing with a cast of dancers and the all the artists and part of what, by the way, one of the things Jason and I were talking about, what we should have done on the Gwen Stefani thing is, we talk about perks we want to offer, and like to be able to say like someone could come be like a production assistant for a day,
Right.
and just come and experience and hang out and, be a part of that. I think that could be an amazing like package that we do in the future. Unfortunately for Linda, she's, living it. So production assistant for a day would be a lovely vacation for her. But, so tell us, so you were, so Boombox, you were like the, what do you call it? The ringmaster in a circus.
Yeah.
Like you were
almost like
watching all
the glue.
The glue. I called you the glue, didn't I?
Yes, you did a couple of times.
Yeah.
Well, my experience with the show, it was my first time, obviously, being a production manager, a production assistant, and putting this together with a team that obviously I was new to, and being from South Africa, my accent is not talking the way I talk. Obviously, I was nervous about a lot of things, but the cool thing was that everybody that I met and every artist that I spoke to, they were pleasant, they were lovely, they were like, "Oh my gosh, your accent, you were so cool," and everything that they needed, I was there for them. And from start to finish, just the whole experience, just being part of Boombox, and then moving from there, going to Gwen Stefani. And I was like, oh my gosh, a girl from South Africa, Johannesburg, I am in the same room as Gwen. I was like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? For me, it was a big deal. And to get to a point where I actually have a conversation. I mean, I didn't say much to her, but being part of the team that brought her on and make sure that she was okay and she did her thing and she was awesome on stage. And when it comes to the Boombox, every single artist that performed there, they were like totally so amazing and they were pleasant. I really absolutely enjoyed working.
And what I think people don't realize though is it's not just about dealing with the artist, and that's the obvious part of it, right?
Yeah.
But it's especially when we did the Gwen thing, there was a whole deal with private company we were dealing with, and we had makeup artists, and we had this actress model for something, a little girl. We had there was just lots of elements to manage. Shaq was there.
Oh, and then Anthony Anderson was there.
And Anthony
too.
Anderson, yes,
Yeah,
who
I was a big fan.
who was a big fan of yours. I should have brought that video. He loved you.
Yeah, it's so cool.
All right. Well, we just wanted you to have an opportunity to meet Linda, and I'm going to cut her off before she, points out all the faults in me and Jason.
Well, I think it's important though. I think it's important to know, like, there is a team here. There's a group of people that, I mean, well, look, me and Seth take the lead in terms of being the points and a lot, and Seth more so than myself. I am uncomfortable in these situations. It may not come across that way, but even staring at the camera and doing these talks, I'm pretty obnoxious as a human being in person. I'm a little shy when it comes to cameras and microphones. And I have to be careful not to defer to my normal vocabulary. I can be a little harsh at times when I talk. So
he's the abrupt one.
But I am very appreciative in all of our projects that we do. There is a team out there that people don't see. There is a team that keeps us on track. There is a team that deals with all of our eccentric traits. There is a team.
But even in doing this fan rebellion thing, like in getting people involved as fan owners and having a voice, it's in a way we're trying to augment that. Like we work off each other's strengths and weaknesses. We have the ability to say, hey, I'm not great at this. What do you think?
Right.
And as we grow our fan base, our owner base, that is a great resource.
Well, I think that's probably the best. I mean, I think that others could speak more to this than we should on ourselves, but we really do try to have an open door policy. I mean, I really believe that if I'm doing something and there's a way to improve upon it, I've never said I'm right, you're wrong, just do it my way. I really try to have open conversations. I don't care if it's with someone that I'm having
unless it's with me. With me,
it's different. I know you're wrong.
Or unless you use the word organic, but go ahead.
I hate that word, especially but the point is, for the most part, like with Jimmy's a really good example. Me and Jimmy have really learned to grow from each other's experiences. Me and Linda have had multiple conversations about things. There's other people within our team that the bouncing back and forth. The people that I meet on LinkedIn that are just informal friends right now at this point in time. There's a gentleman named Paul. I won't use his last name because I have no consent to, but he's back and forth on ideas on some of my posts. He's actually helped me try to get better at communicating and getting more engagement on it. And that sort of feedback, that sort of community is at the center of what we're trying to do, so that we can take that sort of positive energy and roll it into a commercially viable product.
Right.
So I want to, because we're going to run out of time if we don't keep rolling forward. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm cracking the whip. I'm usually the one who meanders a bit, but I want to is it worth showing that Gwen video since we just talked about Gwen?
I think let's go through. We can take the last 10 minutes and cover some of the business.
We have about a minute long video that's backstage with watching Gwen, and you can see a cameo from Linda in there. She says a bad word at that moment, I believe.
Wish you all could have joined us for this Gwen Stefani booking, but here's some behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm ready. All right. Yes, Monday! Yes.
Every once in a while, you get to stop and reflect on how cool it is to get to pull a show together like this.
Oh my god! I know. Oh my god!
Yes, since you're telling everybody. Yes, let's do that. We could talk about that. I want to talk about also, should we talk about stuff we're working on though?
Sure.
Because we did like an entire webinar on the businessy stuff and it was super boring. I'm just wondering if we should talk about like an upcoming project.
100%.
So, and we do have other projects. We have one other active project right now. I can show, can you show that photo of the palms that we have? We have a show called Midnight Sky over there at the Palms. That is Sky D. Miles, who's amazing and talented. We actually had CeeLo over watching this show, and Kid and Play were in town last week watching it. It's interesting because it's in a way a very Vegas show because it's dancers and singers and an amazing band, but it's really immersive. So it's actually a very forward-thinking show. And I think that vibe where like there is a stage, but it doesn't all happen on the stage. And I think you're going to see more of that in Vegas venues, and maybe we'll revisit the Midnight Sky show on our next one, show some more video clips. So we have a project that we're working on, and I'm going to do my best to narrate this, and we can't talk about the title of it or the location of it. But I just wanted you to understand that not everything is a show. Not everything is a hip hop show. Not everything is easily definable because the genre, the entertainment is changing, and we want to do things that develop. So we have this project. Can you play that? I think it's the last clip you got there, Ian. It starts off. There we go. So this idea is it's like a rock burlesque venue, and that sounds like something that's been done before, but what we want to do is a bit different. So it's taking this venue, putting live music into it. It's a very intimate space that looks similar to this one, bringing some acts in it. Think Absinthe, think Cirque du Soleil. So not like a typically like sort of strippery burlesque that you might think of when someone says that. taking a venue that is currently beautiful and elegant and giving it a little bit of an edge, putting in some things like, you know, some urban New York type of elements like neon and brick. And then doing an interesting late night menu. Vegas has sort of lost this late night dining thing that you could always eat 24/7 here. And I would think back when I lived in LA and we go to Rock and Roll Denny's after a concert. So we're talking about having a very limited menu of amazing, amazing foods until late at night. The venue itself would be day parted into different operations. So what you're seeing here is like how it would operate early, and then have like, it would have the live band and really go off for a couple hours, and then we'd operate until very late at night. But during the day and in a separate room, we'd have live performances. These are not actual shows that we would do necessarily, but they're examples of the type of one man, one woman shows or very small cast shows, a daytime attraction, so that we are getting revenue from an all-day operation, from an evening operation, in a cabaret venue, and then in Disney fashion, dumping that cabaret audience into a live music venue that has cocktails and food until late, and really trying to create multiple revenue streams that all work together very well. In fact, on their own, each would be a significant business. So that's just one of our projects. Obviously, we'll get into, as that becomes a reality, we'll get into what the actual entertainment projects are. Those will be their own thing that we work on, and how the music works. And
in some cases, it's worth noting we would work with outside producers and outside creators.
All right. Well, even in this case,
in.
so the core idea for this came from a group of prominent women in Vegas, and so the idea was, you know, the idea was amazing, but the idea that a venue is driven from a female perspective, which is very absent in Vegas, as absent as hip hop music is on a showroom stage. You know, you just don't get a lot of that. Vegas was for years and years such a male dominated space, especially for entertainment, especially when you think of a word like burlesque, you know. So to have these women driving the look and feel of this, like, I think it's important. It's actually important, but I think it's an important message also as we do more things. So just an example, and it's hard to have these talks when we can't be that specific, and which is one of the reasons we're so excited about having fan owners, that we can have people that realize they can't share the information that we're giving them, so that we can get feedback on projects without worrying that it goes out into the ether and the whole world knows about it. Do you want to talk about the business stuff? You want to get back into that a little bit?
Yeah, I think we should at least go through it. I mean, there's probably people joining for the first time. And
okay. So it's worth just showing these slides, and I apologize if you've seen these before, but you know, it's easy to get caught up in like what we're doing on stage or in a venue, and why the creativity is certainly fun. It's certainly what we live for, but you want to understand, as an investor, what are you doing? What are you getting involved in? And how do I ever have a chance of getting money back? So let's show, if you could bring up, Ian, the year one, we call this hub and spoke model. And Jason can describe this. Let's do it briefly so we can
sure. So if you can just imagine the hub of a wheel, and then each project comes off as a spoke. And in this case, we've got the Boombox Show and a project that we have a code name for, Neon, that is a venue. And you can see what's happening here basically is that investment funds come into Fan Rebellion. Those investment funds then go to capitalize each of the individual projects, which will be their own LLCs. Money flows back up to the main project, and then dividends are paid to investors based upon their ownership shares within the company. And I think it's important to understand that those dividends will change, it will be fluctuated, and as a owner, you will have a say in how we operate it. We're going to run a certain degree of accumulated profits over the first 3 to 5 years so that we can grow more spokes coming off that hub. At a certain point, we might be able to increase the revenue from each one of the older spokes that increases the
go advance to year two.
Advance to year two. So as we add more spokes that are 1 or 2 years old, that who have already paid back their initial capital line to, that money goes into advancing another round of spokes that has another round of dividends. So even though we're diluting the ownership position as we sell off more equity, we're growing the overall size of the pie at a rate that's faster than what the dilution rate is. And we've tried to structure this so that we have a couple of exit points for investors. Exit points could include stock buybacks at certain points. Exit points include if we can take the company public at some point. Exit points include selling off different divisions or different spokes, taking that capital and distributing it.
And the
back
goal is
the
to get, if you go ahead, Ian, to the year 3 one, I mean, the goal is to increase the amount of stuff we have, amount of projects we have, so that the dividends get increased, because frankly, that's how you guys get money out of this, even before potentially your investment has appreciated,
right?
Or before there is an exit strategy. But honestly, it's how Jimmy and Jason and I make money. Like, we are tying ourselves to the company so that what's good for an investor is also good for us. And we want to create cash flow for everyone. You can get rid of that, Ian. And we want to create cash flow for everyone, and we want to make it an attractive investment. So that's, it's a little less conventional than some other investments you may have looked at. And we're trying to sort of bridge this, because we realize that some people are coming to us, they're just intrigued by entertainment, they're intrigued by Vegas, they like, I had someone reach out today or yesterday who just liked the word rebellion. She says she's all about it. And we realize, and that's cool, but we also want you to understand that there are people coming in looking at this purely from an investment point of view, that they're, like Felix was looking on Start Engine. He wanted to get involved in something. And there are people that are on Start Engine and other platforms daily or monthly, at least, looking for projects. And so we still have to be an attractive business prospect.
Right.
We still want to generate money for the future. And while we can't guarantee anything, we think we're coming up with a pretty good.
And this is, and we're also trying to make it very clear, like this is not a windfall tomorrow. I mean, in many ways, this is a building a business from scratch involves building both its infrastructure and its revenue generation. And we're trying to build something that is a multi-year play, generational, maybe, if we hold on to the company long term, in the sense that it's not a do a show, exit, make a pile of money, start over again. We're trying to build something that is both sustainable and long term, but that has variety within it, so that it's not just hip hop. It might also be ballets, it might be creative immersive events, it might be experiences, it may be venue operations. And when we say venues, the venues themselves are entertainment. Like, the venues themselves, if you've ever been to, in different towns, they have different themes and different experiences, but Meow Wolf is a venue here in town. It's extraordinary if you haven't had a chance to go see it, but it is a venue that is itself entertainment. And you walk through the venue and you experience, you interact, and there's no actors, there's no stage. It is an immersive environment where you are transported to a completely different mind space, and yet 2 or 3 hours go by and you have been completely entertained and enthralled, and they are building stories and themes into them in different locations. It's a way that venues can be live entertainment without having to be stuck in a time slot of 8 o'clock start, 10 o'clock end, go home.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting to see where this all goes. And I don't want to give away the farm here, but we've had a lot of ideas about how we can approach entertainment so that it is not a show on a proscenium stage doing what they always do, and stay ahead of it, stay ahead of what's happening in the world right now.
Right. Not just that doesn't have its place. I mean, I think it's not about everything is being reinvented. They always talk about disruptive businesses, whether it's in software or cars or any of that kind of stuff. And an electric car is disruptive, but it still has wheels. A hydrogen fuel car is disruptive, but it still has air conditioning.
Right. Still has doors and headlights.
So we're trying to do is to take a wide swath and say, what is still working, what does matter to the fans and to the consumers, and what do they want to see revolutionized and changed from their perspective.
Well, and if I can self-promote a little bit, but I think that's what this is about. I just wrote a piece for Rolling Stone, and a lot of that was based on this idea that we have curated lists for everything we're doing now. When you watch things on TV, streaming especially, or when you're watching, when you're listening to music, frankly, even the commercials that are served to you now, they're all curated for your likes and your habits. And it really doesn't exist that much for live entertainment. It exists even less in a very corporate town like Vegas, where everything's through the filter of what the corporations allow us to see on a stage. So, that's something we're working on too, is sort of make it, it's fan rebellion. Let's make it about the fans. So, all right, well,
I was going to ask Khalil, because we were talking about the fans, and Seth, you said it. Let's make it rebellious, and let's make it about the fan. And Jason's pretty much said the same thing. I'm curious to know if there are any questions from the audience, so far, based on what we've talked about, because we could go on and on and on and on and on.
I mean, the only question I'm seeing is, what are the top reasons to invest? Why should someone right now pull up their checkbook and invest in Fan Rebellion?
Well,
well,
go ahead, guys.
No, Jimmy, if you want to take
Jimmy, go ahead. And then we should probably wrap, because we're actually hitting the hour mark already. So.
All right, so I mean, just quickly, to me, I think Seth pretty much laid it out, fact by fact. I think the one thing that was missing though is the experiential component. Everything that we do right now is an investment, right? Like you go to McDonald's, you make an investment in McDonald's. All right, what you're gonna get for the money that you put in, you're gonna get a burger. You go to Starbucks, you're gonna get after you lay down your mortgage, you're gonna get a cup of coffee, but no, it's real, right? You go to see a Usher concert, you're gonna get roller skating. You go to an Adele concert, you're gonna get whatever big anthemic record of hers. You go to a basketball game, et cetera, et cetera. We are talking about investments, right? And I know for me, I'm trying to do much less of what we're trying to do and what we're looking to do, and much more of what we're actually doing, right? So we actually are producing shows on Vegas on the Strip. We actually are offering our partners, our investors, to come in and invest in the show. And yeah, what are you going to get from that, right? But you're going to drink your cup of coffee for $85.99. You're going to drink your Coca Matcha Laca Grande. You're going to drink that, and after that, it's gone, right? We're telling you that after that, it is gone, right? Like you put your money in, but you still get the cup, and that cup has value, right? And that cup has a voice. You know what I mean? So for me, from someone that's not from Vegas, all right, we're offering you an experiential relationship to what goes on in Vegas. That's cheaper than a pair of Air Jordans, and it's cheaper than a month's worth of Starbucks, all right? And you're gonna walk away with, on the screen here, you have 90 years. Jason and I are like the half, and then Seth is the other half.
Oh, I knew something was coming like that.
But
you beat me with a 90-year-old joke.
Exactly, I had to beat you because I know you're quick. But we have, between us, we have 90 years of experience about what goes on in putting the show together. All right. I don't know anywhere else. I don't get to go behind the counter of any fast food restaurant and see what goes into the burger.
Well,
all right.
If I could just distill that to something, I think it's that we hope that the experience you get being on the journey with us in Fan Rebellion is worthwhile, completely independent of the fact that you've invested and may actually make money off this. And that's kind of our goal here. And with the risk of equating it to gambling, I always say, like, if I sit down and put $20 on the table, play blackjack, because I live in Vegas, if I get $20 worth of enjoyment, it doesn't matter if I lost it. Hopefully I won, right? But if I'm paying for the entertainment value and I had fun and I had a drink with my friends or whatever, like that's sort of the approach here. Is we want this to be a great experience, independent of it being a good investment. Yep. So hopefully that's a good note, Khalil, to end on, and so we don't do hour number 3 here.
Yeah, I think we should end it up. I know we're out of time. Khalil, thank you very much for.
Of course. And thank you, gentlemen, for tuning in. And for those who attended, thank you so much. This webinar has been recording, so we will be posting a recap around it on Start Engine. So be on the lookout for that. So thank you again. Thank you everyone, and hope everyone has a great day.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.